Hello, how are you? Hope you're well. Happy Friday. It's the best day of the week. It's the weekend. Anyway, let's get on with this video. Today's video is about serial killers, and it's about serial killers mostly in the UK. It's not a particular one. It's a variety for you, a little bundle, if you like. I'll shut up. Let's go and see the video, and I'll be back in a minute. See you on the other side.
If you know me by now, you'll know that I'm interested in true crime and serial killers. No, not in a weird way. I don't do research so I can learn things on how to be one. I just find the human brain fascinating in the way that we're all so very different and how one person's mind differs from another. Now, serial killers are all around the world. You'll find them in every country in the world. No country is less of a great place because of them. It's just sadly a fact. Some people are clearly a bit bonkers and they get some weird, sick and twisted pleasure from it. Now, historical data started being recorded in England and Wales in 1898, when the number of murders recorded increased from around 300 a year to over 500 a year since the 1970s. This data was recorded and published by the Office for National Statistics. In 2022, looking at all the countries in the UK, yes, Americans, we do have more than one country in the UK. We are not just one country. Anyway, Northern Ireland had the highest rate of murders at 12.6 offences per million population, whereas the rate in England and Wales was 11.7, and then Scotland having the lowest at 9.5 offences per million, which is a fairly big difference. Although, not surprisingly, the most offences in England and Wales was in London, with an average of around 15.1 per million population per year, closely followed by the West Midlands, but rates are lowest in the southeast and southwest of England. Now, you may or might not be surprised to know that the majority of murder victims in England and Wales are male, with the year ending in 2022 being at 72% of victims being male and just 28% being female. This statistic is shocking in one way though. It's shocking that these stats are even a thing. It's quite sad really. A serial killer is a person who murdered 3 or more people, with the killings taking place over a significant period of time in separate events. The psychological pleasure is motivation for the killings, with many murders also involving sexual assault, usually during the murder process. A lot of the murderers get thrill-seeking pleasures out of these types of murder, and it can be also for financial gain or even attention seeking, for better use of the term. Most victims of serial killers are chosen because they have things in common with one another, even if they've never met before. Things like gender, race, or even age. Serial killers differ from mass murderers, which is where one person chooses to kill many people all at once, a bit like a terrorist, for example. The other types of murderers, not to be confused with a serial killer, is a contract killer, which is someone who kills someone on demand, where a person will contact this person, pay them just to get rid of someone for them. An assassination is another way of looking at this. Now, in history, there have been many serial killers, some very famous, like Jack the Ripper, some not so much. Historical cases are just as bad as cases these days, sometimes worse. There are a few from around the world, just like these. Between 1564 and 1589, a German farmer named Peter Stump killed 14 children, including his own son. He also murdered 2 pregnant women. He claimed to have been granted the ability to turn into a werewolf by the devil. So as punishment for his crimes, he was put on a torture wheel and executed. His head then was later severed and put onto a pole next to a figure of a wolf to scare away other people from saying that they were werewolves as well. Now in India, in 1740 and 1840, there was a cult called Thuggee, which was the name given to the group of people who were meant to be professional robbers and murderers. They were said to travel in groups in India. Now, one member of the cult was Thug Biram. It was said that he murdered 931 victims. He was a leader of the cult and also known as the King of Thugs. It's said that he strangled his victims. He was hung in 1840, aged 74. Joseph Vacher was a French serial killer. He became known as the French Ripper. After killing and mutilating 11 women and children, he was executed by beheading in 1898 after confessing to all of his crimes. Now, another notable non-American serial killer is Pedro Lopez. He's a murderer from South America who killed a minimum of 110 young girls between 1969 and 1980. However, he claims that the number is over 300. He was released from a mental facility in 1998 and his whereabouts are still unknown. He is commonly nicknamed the Monster of the Andes. Another non-American serial killer is Louis Garavito. He's from Colombia. Now, he would kill and torture boys using various disguises from 1992 to 1999. He murdered around 140 boys, ranging in ages from 8 to 16. He would dump his victims' bodies in mass graves. So, back in the UK, we have Harold Shipman. Now, he was a successful professional general practitioner working for the NHS. He was considered a pillar of the local community. He even won an award for professional award for a children's asthma clinic. And he was interviewed by Granada Television's World in Action on ITV. But with an estimated 284 victims over a period of roughly 30 years, on 31st of January 2000, Shipman was convicted of murdering 15 patients under his care. He was sentenced to life in prison with a whole life order. On the 13th of January 2004, one day before his 58th birthday, he hung himself in his cell at HM Prison Wakefield in West Yorkshire. Now, Dennis Nilsson was an ex-soldier turned civil servant and a trade unionist who had no previous criminal record when he was arrested. He was a Scottish serial killer who murdered at least 12 young men and boys between 1978 and 1983. Now, I've done a video of him, a whole video about him, so go and find it and learn if you don't know about him. Organised serial killers often plan their crimes methodically, usually abducting victims, killing them in one place and disposing of them in another. They often lure their victims with ploys appealing to their sense of sympathy. Others particularly target prostitutes who are likely to go voluntarily with a stranger. These killers maintain a high degree of control over their crime scene, and usually they have solid knowledge of forensic science that enables them to cover their tracks, such as burying the body or weighing it down and sinking it in the river. They follow their crimes in the news media very carefully, and they often take pride in their actions as if it was like a grand project. On the other hand, disorganised serial killers are usually far more impulsive. Often they commit their murders with a random weapon which was available at the time, and usually do not attempt to hide the body. They're likely to be unemployed, a loner, or both, with very few friends. They often turn out to have a history of mental illness and is often marked by excessive violence and sometimes necrophilia or sexual violence. Disorganised serial killers have been found to have a lower IQ than organised serial killers at 89.4. Mixed serial killers with both organised and disorganised traits both have an average of IQ of 100.9, but a low sample size. Peter Bryan brutally killed several people, and as if that was not enough, he ate their brains. He was sent into a mental hospital, and after some time it seemed like he got better, so they released him onto a lower security unit in North London. After some time he attacked again, and after numerous observations and reviews, he went back behind bars at the age of 49. Now, they're serial killers, and they're serial killers. Now this man is very like, what's his name, of the Silence of the Lambs. Eating someone's brains. I mean, that takes it to a whole new level, doesn't it? Wow, that's just so wrong. Moving on. Now, Levi Belfield chose blonde victims. He killed several girls, and people remember him mostly for kidnapping a 13-year-old girl whose body was found 6 months later. He is now serving 3 life sentences. Anthony Hardy, also known to the public as the devil worshipper, would have sadomasochistic sex with prostitutes, kill them and then cut them into pieces with an electric saw, throwing them into garbage bins near his house. He was sentenced to a life. Stephen Port. He is one of the most recent serial killers in London's history. He'd seduce his victims and give them a rape drug. All of his victims were gay men. He is also sentenced to life. So, next time you're out and about, keep your eyes peeled next time you're travelling on public transport, because you never know who you could be sharing that space with.
So then, there you have it. There it is in all of its glory. I hope you enjoyed it. I put quite a lot of research into this video. I tried to find out as much as I could about each different person, and just to throw little snippets in, really, because I didn't want to do a video just on one particular person. I wanted to do like a little collection, if you like. Not that a collection of killers is very nice, but it's a little collection. So I kind of just wanted to do that. So hope you've enjoyed it anyway, and I hope you sort of like might have found out something that you perhaps didn't know, about any of these people. I know I did. When I was doing my research, I found out things that I didn't know. And I also found out about people that I didn't know, because I find that quite fascinating when, if there's like a world famous serial Jack the Ripper, that sort of thing, everybody knows about that already. So I although I have done a video on Jack the Ripper, I don't know, it's just something that people are familiar with. So I kind of like to try and look for different things that people are not so familiar with. With all of my videos, really, I try and look for the true crime ones and the urban legends, and obviously my spooky ones as well. I try to look for things that people are not so familiar with, because that way then it makes my channel a little bit more unique. And I like that. I like being a little bit more unique. I don't want to be like the same as it. I'm not a sheep. I'm not the same as everybody else. I'm different in probably, a big way, hopefully a good way. Anyway, happy Friday. Have yourself a wonderful weekend, and I will see you on the next video. Take care of yourself. Keep yourself smiling, and I'll see you again soon. Bye bye.